everyone, my name is Victoria Parker, and today I would like to discuss with you the importance of the Underground Railroad and how it relates to this course, American Literature. In the book Underground Railroad, the author Laurie Hillstrom on page 209 states that the Underground Railroad was a network of secret routes, safe houses, transportation options, supply points, and sources of guidance that helped an estimated of 100,000 enslaved people escape to freedom in the early 1800s. It is not an actual railroad. It was an escape route that was created to free slaves. The Underground Railroad was created in the early to mid 19th century and used by enslaved African Americans to escape to free states and Canada. The Underground Railroad was assisted by abolitionists and others that were very sympathetic to the cause of the escapes. The Underground Railroad relates to this course, American Literature, because it was a huge part of American history. Many of the stories we read and will read in this class have a lot to do with important events that have happened in America. The Underground Railroad freed slaves, and it showed the capability of African Americans. The greatest risk was taken by the slaves themselves. In an article by Glenn Altshuler in the journal Courageous Heroes of the Underground Railroad, in paragraph 10, the author states that runaways powerfully influenced the national debate over slavery. Harriet Tubman plays the biggest role in the Underground Railroad. And who is Harriet Tubman? And you might be wondering why I'm mentioning her name. Well, Harriet Tubman was born a slave named Araminta Ross in eastern Maryland somewhere between 1820 and 1821, and no one knows of the exact date of her birth. Harriet Tubman was the most famous conductor for the Underground Railroad. She started with freeing herself, then her family, and then her friends, and once others saw that this escape route was working, many people followed behind. At first, many people doubted her capability of doing such a thing, but she set her mind to it, and she did it. Many books and movies have been made after Harriet Tubman herself. She took the name Harriet when she escaped a plantation in Maryland with two of her brothers in 1849. Her codename was Moses, so that the people that owned her as a slave would not know her name. She never once lost a slave. She was always cautious, and since she had a huge passion for freeing the slave, she was able to free each and every single one of them. Harriet Tubman was the first African American woman to serve in the military. She was a Union Scout during the Civil War, and she was also the first woman to lead combat assault. Tubman never learned to read or write due to a severe head injury she received as a little girl, states in an article by Mary Lou Tosnaugh in the journal Harriet Tubman Gets a New Home Along the Underground Railroad in paragraph 8. She impacted American history forever by being the leader of the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad is an important event in American history. Most Underground Railroad workers were just ordinary people such as farmers, business owners, and even ministers. Some of them were very wealthy and some of them were very poor. A former slave, Frederick Douglass, hid fugitives in his home in Rochester, New York. He helped 400 escaped slaves make their way to Canada and become free. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1793 made capturing slaves a business, and there were fewer hiding places for them. People known as conductors were the ones helping free the slaves by hiding them in churches, homes, and even schoolhouses. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 was designed to strengthen the previous law. The update of this law created more harsh penalties and promoted favoritism toward slave owners. Some of the freed slaves were being recaptured because of this law. In conclusion to my oral report, the Underground Railroad ceased operations around 1863 during the Civil War. This was known as the end of the line. The Underground Railroad went north for freedom. Passengers stopped as soon as they would reach a free state. Some of these states were Pennsylvania, Ohio, and New Jersey. After 1850, many traveled to Canada to make sure they would be safe. This event will forever be important to American history and American literature.